It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. Our conversation with Dr. Fab Mancini is brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And we speak with him this morning about something that's very concerning. It usually is when we've had Dr. Fab on before. It always has been. So, yeah, COVID-19 variants, are they more contagious? Are they not? Dr. Fab, good morning.
Good morning. You know, this has been such an interesting topic because just when we were thinking that we are moving forward with COVID-19 as we know it, all these variants started popping up, especially in the UK, September 2020. We notice now that that variant or mutation is B117 has become 60% of all the cases in the UK in December. So variants seem to be a little bit more contagious based upon what I'm seeing from some of the scientists. But right now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it could be more dangerous. They're still trying to figure all of that out.
Are they absolutely sure that the vaccines are going to act as shields against those variances as well?
You know, it's a great question. And as you read one person, it tells you that the vaccines that are currently in the market and the ones that are about to come are handling the mutations that we have seen so far. But what we do know is that the more that the virus spreads, the more mutations that we're going to be seeing. And one of the things that one study that I saw was showing the signs that the vaccines may be a little bit less resistant to the new mutations, but they're trying to do more studies and try to make sure that these current vaccines are going to be able to handle all of these variants that we're seeing right now with this virus.
It really is something fascinating to study how our bodies actually react to what becomes a war. It's just like watching generals maneuvering on each side. The countermeasures are needed, and so the virus reacts in a certain way to our attempts to stop it, and then we have to come up with ways to attack it. Does it seem that way to you? Is that a good way for me to characterize it?
You know, I love that example that you're giving because that's exactly what it is. The body is created with a defense mechanism ready to fight whatever virus or bacteria that we're confronting. The challenge is that as a virus tries to attack, the people that have a weak immune system seem to be the ones that are being struggling. But then if you have a stronger immune system, which means you have a lot of people in the defense line, then the virus cannot, and it tries to mutate or change in order to try to figure out a way to penetrate. So it's a constant battle back and forth. And the more people that it spreads to, the reason that you have so many variants, just like the flu, right? Every year we notice that there's more variants to the flu, is because the more that it spreads, the more people out there that are being exposed to it, the more that this virus needs to change in order to keep penetrating society and humanity.
Dr. Fab specializes in health and lifestyle issues. He's the best-selling author of The Power of Self-Healing. As we think about what's coming down the road, I think we look back at this past year, Dr. Fab, and we say to ourselves, were we as prepared as we could be? And I don't think we ever are as prepared as we could be. But as we look at the next 6 months to a year, what are some of the things that we can do right now that will help us to prepare for whatever happens, whether it's variants in the thing or a vaccine that all of a sudden stops working? What are some of the things we can be doing right now?
Well, I'm going to give it to you from two perspectives because that's how I look at things. The first perspective is the healthcare system. So the healthcare system, which is the WHO, the World Health Organization, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, their responsibility is to try to guide us as to how to best combat some of these things such as the virus and the pandemic. They are going to have to be able to be very in front of this in order to try to figure out a way to ensure that if you're going to put a vaccine out there, it's really covering the challenges or the mutations and the variants that we're seeing right now. So they have a lot of work in front of them. The new companies that are actually preparing to introduce new vaccines into the market, they're going to have a little bit of in my opinion, they're going to have a little advantage because they've had more time to prepare instead of the other ones that were kind of put out there as quickly as possible on an emergency basis. So I believe that even this new vaccine may have some elements. We already know that you only have to take one instead of two, so that's already an advantage. But where I really want to focus, I believe, in the majority of the people that are listening right now, is to empower them primarily with the things that they can control, and that is your own body. And that means you have to really do a very good due diligence in managing your stress levels, which they're all over the place right now, as you know. Making sure that you're getting plenty of sleep and plenty of water. Making sure you're eating as healthy as possible instead of the processed food and the sugars that don't help the body immune system. And also make sure that you're getting out there and exercising. Even if you can't go to a gym, just get out there and walk or run or even do sit-ups and push-ups and jumping jacks if you have to in your living room. But that's the part that I think we need to focus more on. And then if you like supplements, I've been a big supplement person for the last 30 years. We have a lot of science that vitamin C and zinc and vitamin D, especially D3, have been very supportive to your body during any type of virus exposure. So those are the main recommendations that I think we need to really focus over the next 3 to 6 months.
It's interesting you say that, because that was my next question. In terms of our diet or in terms of supplements, what are some of the things that we can be putting into our bodies to boost our immune system? Because that's what we're doing when we supplement, aren't we?
Yes. So what happens right now is that we know that our bodies, unfortunately, don't have as much nutrients as what it needs to function properly, because the way the foods are processed, the way that our lifestyle is, we're just not getting enough nutrients in the body. So supplements is a way that you can use natural whole foods that you can take in powder, capsules, gels, whatever, and be able to supplement. And that's exactly what it does. It's not a replacement, but it's a supplement to what the body can use. And during this time, we've seen a lot of science studies and a lot of reporting by scientists saying that we need to increase our vitamin C. Most people take about 500 milligrams of vitamin C. I've been taking between 1,000 and 3,000 in order to keep my immune system as high as possible. Your zinc, the average recommendation is 11 milligrams. I've been taking around 40 or 50 just to maintain my body up. And then, of course, vitamin D, between 1,000 and 5,000. Some people can even go to 10,000. But those are the recommendations that we're seeing, that people can then support their immune system that way, support their health of their body that way. So that way, if they do get exposed, they seem to be the ones that are not having as many symptoms.
Dr. Fab Mancini on the line with us here this morning. We're talking about COVID-19 variants. Dr. Fab, when we think about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and its efficacy numbers are a little bit lower than the ones for Pfizer and Moderna, is it because it was tested using the variants as well, and those others, those variants didn't even exist at that time?
Well, it's a good question. I don't think it was just the variants, even though the answer to that would be yes. It's because they've had more time to develop it. Typically, if you look at the history of vaccinations, it takes years to put something out into the market. It could be as long as 10 years. And these vaccines were pretty much prepared within a year process, or less than a year, and put into the market on an emergency basis, but they're still not making the claims, even though, most of the studies that you see like they have a 94% success rate. I think that you're going to see that the new ones coming out into the market will have a little bit more effectiveness just because it's common sense. They've had more time to prepare for what is out there, and they're going to take some of these variants into consideration.
All right, so we'll continue to watch that develop. Meanwhile, you've given us some good hints as to how we can protect ourselves and those around us. And Dr. Fab Mancini, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do that for us today.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.